Hi, this is Joseph Tan here from goodmonday.com. Welcome to the sixth topic of the Character-Wise Parenting series follow-up, and today we're going to talk about the magic technique. Is there a magic technique that causes our children to obey us and to help them toe the line? Discipline is not about consequences or punishment primarily, because at the heart of it, discipline is a matter of communication. How you communicate with your child will create clear expectations of their behavior. Now, how is communication going to come through clearly to the child if we are not an effective source of authority? And we're going to talk about a very practical aspect of authority today, and we're going to talk about the unity of authority. That is, the strength of your communications lie in the consistency of your joint leadership. Parenting doesn't happen in a vacuum. You need to parent your child on a platform of united authority with your spouse. And if you are a single parent, you need to have another adult or a community of adults who stand on the same platform of unity together with you. Because unless there is unity in authority, you can never bring about effective discipline for the child. Imagine an organization where the CEO and the COO and those in top leadership do not agree with one another. And if they do not agree with one another, how are they going to lead the company forward? It is the same at home as well. If the dad and mom, if husband and wife do not communicate with unity, it's going to be very difficult to lead the child. The child is going to be prone to follow the one with the lower standards. So the first step in learning to communicate with united authority is to start by listening to each other. A lot of parents claim that they want to pass down values to their children. But how are we going to pass down values to our children if between husband and wife the values are not similar? Now, how do we make sure that we have got similar and united values to talk and pass down to our children unless we take time to listen to each other? So ironically, in order to get your child to listen to you, you should start by listening to your spouse. You should learn the skill of rephrasing or paraphrasing. Take turns to talk. If you need to discuss any matters with your spouse, don't both persons talk at the same time. Take it in turns to talk. And when you take it in turns to talk and you repeat back to the other party what the other party is saying, then more will get through. So please do have a way of arranging your conversation so that both husband and wife do not talk at the same time. Take it in turns to talk. And secondly, there is really no quality time without quantity time. For example, my wife and I take time to talk about 2 hours each week when the children are away in their music lessons. So that is the time for us to touch base. That is a time for us to not only talk but to listen to one another and just to be in touch, because unless husband and wife are in touch with one another, it's going to be difficult to communicate with authority to the children. I hear parents commenting to me, Joseph, my child behaves well in school, but when he gets home he's a totally different person. Well, let me assure you, he is still the same person. It is just that while in school, he knows who's boss. And in an environment where the child knows who is boss, he will adjust his behavior accordingly. So that's why it is important for you and your spouse to have joint, united behavioral expectations. Now, how do you get to that point where both you and your spouse have the same behavioral expectations from your child? To follow on from point number 1 in listening to each other is to give permission for honest feedback. Ask your spouse, is there any way that I am training the child that is not right? can you give me feedback on how we can further improve in the way we train our child? So listen to each other's feedback and be open to accept blind spots that you cannot see. Just put yourself in the mindset that you and your spouse, you're on the same team. So people on the same team must be open to candid feedback. So don't take it personally if your spouse were to highlight areas of your weaknesses, because at the end of the day, it's for your child's long-term benefit. And once you are open to receiving feedback from your spouse and then designed a joint behavioral expectations, in terms of what you expect from the child, then set up common areas of inspection. For example, at the end of the day, you could have a time that is set aside for you to just go around the house and make sure that things are in its place and that the children have tidied up after them. Or you could put it on paper, what are the checklist of items and chores they are expected to do for the day or for the week. Because unless the children can see your expectations in black and white and it is spoken clearly, then the natural tendency is to be lazy, because we tend to expect what other people inspect. So inspection leads to expectations. So do set up very clear areas of inspection in your effort to communicate with united authority. The way that the child speaks to the parent is also important to reflect the recognition of the authority structure. And that is why it is important to teach your child in learning how to appeal whenever they want something which is different from what you have instructed them to do. Because if they are whining or throwing a tantrum in order to get what they want and you respond to it, you are actually destroying your own platform of authority. So instead of just letting them whine and throw a tantrum and get what they want, you should ignore them and only listen to what they have to say if there is respect. So you have got to communicate to the child in a united way together with your spouse that in order to get your attention, they must speak to you with a respectful tone. And instead of just demanding what they want, they should learn to be able to present to you their alternatives. Meaning, okay Dad, this is what you said for me to do, but I have got an alternative. What about this? What about that? You've got to train them to be able to present to you alternatives in a calm and objective way. Whenever there is even the hint of whining or tantrum throwing, then they should be ignored because they are challenging your authority. So, is there really a magic technique? No. Techniques come and go. But what really stays on is the unity of authority. When you are united with your spouse or with another adult in communicating your expectations, and you be consistent and stand upon that strength of the unity, then the child will obey. The child will toe the line, because what the child is looking for is consistency, and it is your job and my job to show it. Think about it. This is Joseph Tan here from goodmonday.com.